Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to the Ask Brien radio show on KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM in the Los Angeles Basin. Is that correct? Is that the Los Angeles Basin, Patrick?
I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a basin, but we're in Los Angeles. Well, Los Angeles County.
Well, I think that's a basin.
I mean, I'm not a geography guy, so I wouldn't really know exactly. But I'll take your word for it.
Well, so everybody that comes on this show, they don't understand why Ask Brien is spelled ASKBRIEN. And, you know, like today, we don't have an engineer. We replace this with AI, which is what we're doing today for our show on AI. But, Mr. Engineer, will you try to explain to this crowd of thousands and thousands and thousands of people why in the world you spell Brien with an E? Because everybody they know, they spell the name Bryan, Brian, but the only Brien they know that's spelled with an E is Mr. O'Brien, who's down at the Irish pub having a beer.
Oh my. Well, there's a number of, kind of like themes of the Ask Brien show, and that's kind of why, it's spelled with an E. One of them is engineer, which also engineers, because now there's two engineers on this show. It's not just myself, but also Emily as well.
Because you couldn't do it yourself, you have to have help?
Not at all.
Oh.
Don't laugh, Emily. No, but also E also for Emily because her name starts with an E, so that's a new one. Also, we have experts because everybody that is brought onto the Ask Brien show is an expert in their field.
Except for the engineer.
I mean, I've been here for almost 2 years to run the show with you.
And what do we say the qualifications are for an expert?
Then why am I here? Then
Well, you're here because someone's got to. We're all out of monkeys.
Oh my. Anyways, experience is another one because everybody is very experienced in what they do. Other ones we have is empathy, or in this case, the lack of empathy that he's showing towards me right now.
Well, that's LOE.
LOE.
Lack of empathy.
I mean, if you're going to go based on just the abbreviations, sure, but empathy starts with an E. And one that you also have is enthusiasm and
excitement! Go, go, go!
That too. And am I forgetting any other ones, or did we pretty much go, or did we cover all those?
You had excellence, you had experts.
Yep. Empathy.
Energy.
That was a new one. That's the one that Tracy likes to bring in. I usually give that for her.
That's because you lack energy, is that why?
No, I have plenty of energy.
Another LOE. Lack of energy, lack of empathy. There's a lot of lacking. We're a positive show, and we shouldn't be lacking anything.
That's real low of you, by the way. Hey-o.
We're not the Ask Brien with an L.
No, but you said LOE, so, LOE, if you say that, it actually kind of sounds like
I'm
low.
very familiar in the legal profession of LOIs or LOUs, letters of intent or letters of understanding. Something you not typically do.
Oh, my.
Without any further ado, how do you spell ado?
ADIEU.
Why is that a word I like?
Because every single letter except for the D is a vowel.
Why do you like to talk in monotone? You're not very enthusiastic, excited, and you have lacking of energy.
It's because I have it literally down to a T. It's almost like clockwork.
But T is not an E.
That's true. I have it down to the E and the U.
All right. So we have a very special guest, and we have our co-host today. Our co-host is Alex Grossman. Alex, you there?
I am here, Mr. Brien Johnson and Mr. Patty and Miss Emily. How are you all?
Alex is a special co-host, similar to like the like the Johnny Carson show when Jay Leno would appear before he started to appear every day. We have our special co-host, Alex Grossman, and we have a very, very, very special guest who's so excited with the E to be on our show. His name is Rajesh. Rajesh, are you there?
Yes, sir. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
So
you hear that excitement? That's incredible excitement right there. I was impressed.
I actually almost fell backwards off my chair. Patrick, thank God, had some empathy and protected me from falling on the floor. But otherwise, I would have been flat on my can't say it. But anyway, back to reality. Sometimes. Rajesh, a couple of questions for you. What is the name of the company you have currently?
It's called Lincode.
And Lincode. And what does Lincode do?
Lincode is primarily helping manufacturers leverage AI and computer vision to automate some of their process.
So, how is that different than having just computers or robots on the assembly line checking out products?
Absolutely, great question. So, robot does not have eyes to see; they all just have hands to move, and they need some programmer to, program them. But they cannot identify defects or quality inspections cannot be done by robots. So, AI with the computer vision, it's kind of an eyes for that robots to help them identify what's the defects, and then the robots eliminate the defective out of the lines.
So if it doesn't see, how can it find out if there's a scratch on the glass or there's a problem? How does that help? How can it work?
Yeah. So that is why we use cameras, and we use cameras and our AI to assist the robots to identify those defects and move them out of the line.
And your primary market is what to manufacturers?
Yeah, we primarily focus on manufacturing companies.
Is there anything besides a manufacturer that might want a product like yours or service?
Of course, there are a lot of industry which might be requiring a product like this. One of them, the immediate industry is warehousing, where a lot of packaging is involved. So warehousing is one of the industry which might be requiring this.
So how would your product work if you had a warehouse?
So in a warehouse, it's very important to identify what kind of defects are happening on the boxes before it's sent out to their respective destinations. Defects like, depressions or, cut through or cut off in the, box, or label graphics not there, or barcode not sticked. So those are the kind of issues which can occur in a warehouse.
So does is it a software or what exactly is the Lincode?
Yeah, so we are primarily a software company, but we have actually integrated with various robots, conveyor systems on the factory, and various other control panels and PLCs in the manufacturer side, where we integrate our software with, and then help the manufacturers to eliminate any kind of defects in their lines.
So, I don't know much about the product or the service, but what I would think is, okay, manufacturing is definitely a possibility here and a strong possibility, but I would also think integration with robots or products that are used on the assembly lines and manufacturing lines, if you could get the software into those products, might be helpful. And since they've already got a connection with the manufacturers, that might be an angle. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely one of angle that we have looked at.
And how old is your company?
We are technically 4 years old now.
And how did you come up with the idea for this company? And was it you or others?
Yeah, so we actually went to various manufacturers to identify what kind of challenges they have. After we heard, a couple of manufacturers coming to us and telling us, can we solve this particular challenge? So after that, we thought, if we can build a product for the entire industry, that will be better than just going as a service mode. So we went and, spoke to about 100 to 150 factories in the US and Europe. We asked them what are their top 10 challenges. So most of them said that 86% of them said that, quality inspection is their biggest problem. And the reason for that is the investments made on the technology for the quality inspections didn't give them the desired return on investments. And they were kind of annoyed with the repeated investments on the quality inspection lines when not still fully able to automate the inspections, basically. So that was the primary reason why we found an opportunity to build something with the AI and computer vision, and that's how we set out.
That's a very, very strong approach to take, and a very likelihood of success is definitely higher when you try to solve a problem that people have. So I think that was actually has a lot of foresight to actually go in, try to figure out, oh, there's a problem here, and then solve the problem for people. I mean, that's much different. Most businesses don't operate that way. Most businesses have more of an arrogant approach, which is we'll build a product, we'll build something that we think you need, and then try to sell it. You went from a completely different angle, I see, which is you said, hey, you went to the people and you found out what their problem was, and then you tried to solve it. I think that's a very good way of approaching things in business to actually find out how to solve a problem that people have, as opposed to trying to maybe create something when maybe a problem doesn't even exist. So I applaud you on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
No problem. Now, was it you or was it other people involved in your company to start it?
So we have a team of people who are working on this. So I'm handling the sales and business development now. So we have a CTO who's taking care of the technology team. She is actually worked with companies like Microsoft and ADP, and she actually takes care of the technology in terms of building products and product roadmap, basically.
Now, obviously, there's got to be a coder on the team because of software. So, was that you, or is there somebody else on the team that actually built the code for this?
Yeah, so we started off in the factory floor. So we got an opportunity to build our product right on the factory floor with one of our large automotive customers. So he was actually, part supplier to some of the OEMs. So we had an opportunity to build our product right there. So we all went initially. I was also focused on the development. So we went along with the team. We identified how the visual inspection is done currently, and then we used various tools to identify what are the issues, which is, why these manufacturers are disappointed with the technology, investments. And we figured that false calls was the biggest problem. Like, the product was good, but it said bad, and the product was bad, and it said good, and it went to the customers. So those are the false calls, which they wanted to eradicate. And we started to understand first why those false calls are occurring in the factory floor in the first place. We used various AI tools to identify that. And once we got the idea of, why these kind of issues are happening, then we set out, building a solution specifically to do a false calls. So you can think of like this, like, we are like an iPhone for a factory, where if you look at the iPhone's hardware, it's not like really big as Samsung's. So we are actually, in iPhone, the AI controls your hardware specs, and that's why you are able to get a very good low light pictures, or even if you're shaky images, it fixes that. So AI does all of that job in your iPhone. So the same way, we have built a tool which can actually handle manufacturers' issues of the false calls, and that way we have reduced false calls by 80%.
So actually, this goes into the similar question regarding percentages. So if you do not have the Lincode product or service, okay, what is a typical quality assurance rate on a product, and how much of an increase do you typically get by using the Lincode?
Okay, so in the current industry, it's measured by parts per million, they say. So it means if you scan 1 million parts in your assembly line, how many wrong calls you have. That's the measurement of how effective the inspection is happening. So they had industry standard of 100 to 150 false calls, which is high enough for getting penalized by their, up the chain clients, basically. So our objective was, to have these false calls reduced. So now we are looking at 0 to 4 ppm, which means you scan 1 million parts with our vision system, it's going to give you 100% accuracy. So it's either 0 false calls, or maximum we have seen is 4 false calls. And that is enabling, yeah.
How can it have such a high percentage? I mean, I get that in a million parts you're going to have, 50 to 100, whatever. That makes sense to me. But 0 to 4, I mean, that is such a small number. I mean, I'm just astounded that it could be that high. What is your basis to determine the 0 to 4? Is that just based on the companies that have been using your product so far, or how do you come up with that?
So today, manufacturing is getting really competitive, and OEMs no longer accept, any kind of defects reaching them. Like, for example, if you take a large OEM like a Ford or a GM or any other large OEMs, they don't take suppliers supplying them a defective part. So what happens is it affects their production plan. Let's say if they're going to build 100 cars today, and if the supplier is giving him 10 wrong products, then what it means is they'll have to wait for a good product to come from the supplier to have the entire 10 car produced for that particular day. So it hampers the OEM basically. So it's become very competitive. So it used a couple of years ago 4 ppm was good. That was enough. Like you can supply 4 parts order for your entire shipment. But now it's becoming 0 ppm. So it's really getting competitive for manufacturers to making sure that whatever they supply to the OEMs, it has to be 100% accurate. Otherwise, they're getting penalized. So because of which they're focusing a lot on the quality aspects to make sure it reaches with 0 ppm. So our objective when we started building was this, our clients gave us ultimatum that, it has to be our need. Otherwise, technology is again a failure for us. And that's why we focused on these aspects, identifying what kind of issues causing these false calls. And we set out and we fixed those false calls first. And then we actually used the computer vision and AI to create a huge data model. So we had to make sure that we have a lot of data to work with. And we cannot go to every customer and ask those many data, basically. Like we are talking about millions of data. So what we did was we went to each and every manufacturers of plastics, and we took defect data from various manufacturers globally. So we have now a pile of 50 million data set. On top of that, we are building our model. So this gives us the accuracy level required on the floor for each customer. So eventually, we just take about 10 to 15 defect images from a factory floor when we deploy for that particular customer. So that sets us apart.
Who are your competitors?
We have 2 kind of competitors. One is traditional computer vision or a machine vision kind of companies, conventional companies, which is focused on the hardware cameras. So it's like Cognex and Keyence. Cognex and Keyence have about 60% of the market share in the US. So Cognex is a US-based company doing about $900 million of revenue. And Keyence is about $6 billion revenue, and they're based out of Japan. And these are the industry leaders currently when it comes to visual inspections on the floor. And there are a set of AI companies as well, and there's a lot of AI companies, growing every day. So this 60% of market share is diluting now with the advent of all these AI companies. But this typical AI companies go on a generic approach of data science or a deep learning model. So deep learning, you need a lot of images, and that is where we are, better than them on the AI.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You'll listen to KHTS 1220 98.1 FM with Rajesh from Lincode.ai.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253 Food. That's 253 FOOD.
MB2 Raceway, fast, high-performance kart racing at LA County's only indoor electric kart racing facility, and you're the superstar driver. Motocross legend and DEI driver Ricky Carmichael and Team Andretti Green's Brian Herta race in MB2 when they're not fighting it out for world championships, and so can you. MB2 Raceway, located between San Fernando and Santa Cruz valleys, where the 5, the 210, and the 14 freeways meet in Sylmar. It's MB2 Raceway. Dial 1-866-986-RACE. That's 1-866-986-RACE. MB2 Raceway, where racers race.
The fear is calling at Six Flags Magic Mountain's Fright Fest, presented by Snickers. Select nights now through October 31st. Face your fears at Fright Fest with 24 terror-filled nights, featuring 2 new spine-tingling scare zones, 2 new shows guaranteed to make your blood run cold, plus the return of your favorite haunted mazes. Take your fear for a ride through the darkness on the most terrifying collection of bone-chilling coasters. There is nowhere to hide, and the screams never die. The fear is calling. Beware the unnerving terrors lurking in the shadows. Visit hometownstation.com or listen to KHTS to win your tickets to Six Flags Fright Fest, plus free fright passes. Want to face your fears? Get frightfully good deals on tickets, memberships, and season passes when you visit sixflags.com today. Six Flags Fright Fest. Details at sixflags.com.
Life's real tests are never standardized. The curriculum at iLead Agua Dulce places self-discovery at the core of every experience, so your learner will be ready to lead in the real world. Our tuition-free charter school is currently enrolling grades TK through 9 and expanding to grades 10, 11, and 12 in the coming years, giving your child the perfect opportunity for continuous play-based social-emotional learning. Enroll now so you can enjoy iLead Agua Dulce's beautiful campus and outdoor classroom for hands-on learning. To learn more about iLead Agua Dulce and our unique approach to learning, visit iLeadAguadulce.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the Law Office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the Law Office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
Hometown, your hometown station.
Good afternoon. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Because my engineer is a New Yorker. Oh, no, he's not a New Yorker. But he likes that and sign, and he has it part of the whole thing. I don't know why he does that. But anyway, so we're listening very, very much on Lincode.ai. That's the website. And it's all about automation and quality control on the manufacturer's line. And we have our co-host, Alex Grossman. Alex, are you there?
Well, yeah, I'm a little more deaf than I was just a minute ago, but yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I really.
You were much closer than I was anyway to deaf.
Well, that's true. That's true. No, and I really want to ask Rakesh a few questions because what Lincode's doing is pretty exciting from a manufacturing standpoint. I mean, I know a little bit about that, having run a few of these lines, but I'm interested because this technology really, robotics and getting the entire manufacturing process to let's call it a more automated process. A lot of people are a little upset about that because those low-paying jobs tend to go away. But let's face it, if you want productivity, you need to automate it. But one of the problems with automation is always exactly as you guys were talking about in the beginning. The barcode's on crooked, things are on upside down. Maybe there's a scratch in the surface, so it ends up being a return. So I know that that's true with just about every industry, but there's this technology that I'm familiar with called machine vision, where they use cameras already, and they're able to read and look for imperfections. But I'm interested from Rakesh how you decided that AI would be better at this rather than having these standards that machine vision has used before, like this is good, this is a go, this is a no-go. How does AI make that better?
Sure, that's a great question, Alex. So, machine vision uses conventional or a very age-old mechanism of identifying defects. So they use something called golden image template matching. So it just compares good and bad with one single good or maybe 2 or 3 images max. So it compares with these 3 images and then says, okay, this particular product is good or bad. So that's the basis of a conventional machine vision system, basically. Whereas AI is like, AI, all very well that it's a machine learning, right? So you're teaching a machine about what's a good and what's bad. And then it has its own intelligence. It starts recognizing, even if it's not seen it before, it recognizes that, yes, this is a good product or this is a bad product. So just to give you an example, if you teach machine what is a cat, it can identify Siamese cat, it can identify a normal cat, Persian cat. It can identify different varieties of cats. So that's the way. It's something similar to a child. You teach few things. Child learns as the child grows. The same way in machine learning, if you teach the computer with some data, and once it starts seeing every day, it keeps getting better and better, and that's how it learns. So we understood that, in manufacturing, when we went to these early customers and talked to them to understand what are their challenges. So we figured that this machine vision cameras are not effectively working for them. So that's primarily because this machine vision cameras, if you teach them in a specific way, the orientation cannot be changed. Even 30 degrees of change in the orientation, the machine vision will throw it as an error, basically. So it won't understand that there is a change. And even detecting similar colors stacked over each other, they were not detecting. So these are the constraints of machine vision technology. So it's not because the companies which were manufacturing, they were bad, but the technology was not mature enough. But AI was, going to supersede that and, clear those problems. Because in AI, you are teaching what is a product. So however you keep, whatever the orientation you're going to keep, it's going to work.
So from a productivity standpoint, then, what I'm hearing you say is that in a line, you bring up a line, and it's actually going to get better over time because of the AI learning, and so you're going to have less human interaction, is what I would say, from a QC standpoint, and then you're able to go back and essentially go to the workers or to the robots and adjust them and say, hey, this is good and this is bad, based on the feedback you got. So it becomes this kind of closed loop feedback. Is that, am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Alex.
So how come the people who were building these QC systems and systems before didn't just bring in AI? It seems like they own the hardware and they have to have some software. So why didn't they just do this? Where does your company fit in this? How did you see this as an opportunity? Did they come to you and you're selling to them, or did you just see that yields needed to be better? What drove this from a business standpoint?
Sure. So machine vision companies, they are primarily camera hardware companies. So they manufacture the cameras, they build those cameras basically. So for them to adopt to a new technology and infuse that into the cameras, it's not going to be a straightaway easy thing, because their business, they're doing 900 million of revenue only from the cameras, right? So they cannot go and, adopt to AI business, with the cameras. It's not possible, because the cameras only can take the old technology. And AI, with the deep learning, it needs much more powerful hardware than the cameras that they already have. So it's not going to be easy to fit in AI into their camera ecosystem. So they needed to have separate software, and that's why they were not encouraged to, change the technology and give a different solutions. So they were only going with the conventional cameras and conventional system. But now, I'm talking about this, 3 years, 4 years back when we started off. But now they have acquired some of our AI companies, and they are actually trying to compete with in the AI space. But since they are not built ingrown, and they have acquired some other company, it's not a product which is built from ground up. So it's basically, they are built as a product and they went to a customer, and that's how they've gone. So what we have done is we have actually, since we are a software-centric company, and we can work with any kind of a hardware. So this opens up for the customer, any manufacturer. Actually, it helps them to go with a lower-cost hardware. We have used even $100 cameras compared to $10,000 camera in machine vision. So we use $100 cameras. So if it's a static environment, you don't need an expensive camera at all. So they can go with multiple cameras and inspect multiple products in one go and reduce their turnaround time to inspect the product. So this is the benefit they get with our AI.
So do you see this as like democratizing the overall industry, lowering the costs, making manufacturing more efficient? And is that what your business model is going forward, increasing the efficiency at a low cost? Or what are the top 3 polls that you guys pull to be able to get people to make this investment? Because I'm sure there's a higher investment for a company to employ AI than if they were just to, use other means like machine vision, or maybe you're still trying to get people to come off of the human QA testing. And what industries, and the second part of that question is, what industries will take advantage of this first, do you think?
Yeah, sure. So, it is basically, the focus of our product or platform, I would call, is primarily to reduce the cost or democratize, as you said, to in the manufacturing industry. So we want to keep the cost low by using off-the-shelf cameras, and it's only our software licensing cost, which we charge a yearly recurring revenue, and then computer hardware. That's all they need to get started. And in some cases, we can use even the normal mobile phone on the floor if they have to scan some barcode or a QR code before they send off the products out to their customers. So we give that mobility. So they don't have to buy a specific camera for that. They can use their existing hardware. And we also use drones at sometimes, for taking inventory of the warehouse, basically. So those are the benefits we give using the third-party cameras. And when it comes to, who are going to be the early adopters for this, so we started with automotive manufacturers because they had the biggest problem, because they had to produce a lot and they had to give it to their customers quickly. So this helped. And then the electronics manufacturers, all the printed circuit boards, you would have heard now there's a big short supply in the chips.
Chip shortage, sure.
So, yeah. So it's going to really help that industry as well to get the products going. And one of the reasons why the shortage happens is, like, I was talking to a San Jose-based electronics manufacturer, contract manufacturer. He actually said no to a NASA contract of about $3 to $4 million. So the reason why he said that is because the machine vision, which was inspecting his circuit boards, and after machine actually inspects, he had a manual employee looking at each and every part of this circuit board to see if there is any defect. This was, slowing down his productivity. It became like imagine like a 20-lane highway in his production, and then 2-lane highway on a quality inspection. That was a scenario for him. So because of which he was scared that he was not able, if he's not able to fulfill the NASA's contract, he might get blacklisted and he may not be able to supply to anybody. So that's the reason he said no to a big contract every year that he was supposed to get. So the reason, why this happens is because of, low false rate, basically, high false rate. So with this, AI approach, we are able to eliminate that need of additional person looking at all the boards. So that person can be effectively used in other departments. So now this gets completely automated, and the production is completely, matching the, inspection. Both are matching each other. So there is no bottleneck for them. So that is why electronics is another quick adopter of our solutions, basically. But other conventional manufacturing also is catching up.
Right. And one last question on that, and taking it a little the business side away from that, is that it seems like you've got a pretty big sales or business development, goal ahead of you, because you have to go to the individual companies that have the product lines rather than the people who manufacture the robots, right? But you have to have an ecosystem for them. So you're doing outreach mostly to the countries where most of the manufacturing is done. Is that the way you're doing it, or are you going to specific people? They use these robots, therefore I'm going to go to those customers. Well, what's your approach there, or all the above?
First thing is, yeah, sure. We don't need a robot to be there in every customer place. So we help them with a simple automation as well without the robots also. So that's the first thing there. And in terms of who we are going to as a customer, we have global customers now. Like, we are already serving to 12 plus locations globally. That includes US, Europe, and other Asian countries as well. So we are doing everywhere. And in terms of I think I've answered your main questions there.
Okay. Sounds good.
Well,
Back over to you, Mr. Brien Johnson.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to be taking a break. We'll have to wait a couple minutes. I don't know if the audience can deal with that, but they'll have to. KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. We'll be right back.
If you have a business problem, if someone doesn't honor their agreement and you need an aggressive attorney with over 27 years experience, the law office of Peter Bronstein has helped partners resolve disputes, franchisees resolve disputes, and other business owners who have a challenge. Let the law office of Peter Bronstein take your stress away. Visit lacorporateattorney.com. Don't wait too long and lose your rights. Solve your business challenge problem today. Visit lacorporateattorney.com.
You already know Salt Creek Grill has the best food in our valley. Well, now you can have Salt Creek's gourmet meals catered to your event.
I'm Greg Amsler, owner of Salt Creek Grill. I'd like to introduce you to a new level of catering, featuring our catering director, Tamara Levine.
Salt Creek Grill creates memorable experiences, which leaves our clients and guests with a sense of awe and excitement. From menu development to picturesque presentation, you'll enjoy culinary excellence and creative catering.
Salt Creek Grill, a new level of catering.
It's time to enhance your natural beauty and well-being at Hestia Medical Spa. Feel as good as you look with services that include body sculpting using the most up-to-date technology, including high-intensity focused ultrasound. Choose from a long menu of services like IV therapy, which is a great energy booster, combats dehydration, boosts your immune system, and conquers hangovers. Experience rejuvenation at Hestia Medical Spa, located on Valencia Boulevard next to City Hall. Call 753-3434 or go online at hestiamedicalspa.com.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow, here to tell you about my Giza Dream bed sheets. I made sure that they would be everything you'd ever want in a sheet set. I started with the world's finest cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region where the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, and the Mediterranean Sea all meet. The long staple cotton makes my Giza Dream sheets ultra soft and durable. They come with extra wide pillowcases to fit over any pillow and extra deep pockets to fit over any mattress. Not only that, they come with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. And now you can get the best sheets ever for the best price ever. When you buy one of my Giza Dream bed sheet sets, you'll get another one absolutely free. I personally guarantee that they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com, located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS 1220 and 98.1 FM. Like no other station in the world! It's like no other station in the world, isn't it? That's what they keep on saying. That's their slogan. All right. Alex, you're still around, right? I didn't get you to run away. And Rajesh, you're still there? So, okay, we got a show. All right.
We're still here and still alive.
And you still have your ears. So that's very important.
Very.
Because listening is actually one of the biggest skills that people lack today. People don't listen. They just talk.
What? What'd you say?
Who are you?
Sorry.
I forgot your name. That's my memory issue. So, Rajesh, while we were off the break, we were asking that. So a lot of people are calling in and asking, how did you get your first customer? And how did you decide to, and two, so one is how did you get your first customer, and two is, it sounds to me like it's a lot of money and very expensive to do all that coding before you got that first customer. So, I mean, did you save your pennies? How are we able to do that? So let's start out with the first part. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, we worked with the industry partners. So once we went about with the various manufacturers, identified what's the challenge, we started working with one customer. So we told them that we will give you this results of whatever we do the research work, and we would love to start with your company. And we offered them like a beta cost where we said we will not charge you till the product works fine, and then you can have the product to be used for a certain milestone. Like we said, like once we go live, from then 6 months you can use it for free of cost, and then you can after that you can pay us. So they agreed for that because they also had a compelling problem to solve. So they accepted our offer, and they gave us an opportunity to work with them. And it was a automotive manufacturer, and we started working on their floor. We entered with our team there. We set up our systems there, and we started working on their floor right in their with their own products. And that's where we had a lot of learnings, and which is what I really, definitely recommend all the entrepreneurs to do, so that they can understand the feel of what actually your customers go through, and understand how you can overcome that. So that's where the user experience point of view comes in, because you know who are the people who are going to actually use the product, who's your users, and what do they expect. All of these learnings can be there as a practical way as you learn from those customers. So that's the opportunity we got, and we actually built the product on the floor. And once we rolled out, the customer was very happy, and he actually introduced us to his own network of people. And we started only growing with word of mouth. Only referrals actually was the way out for us. And then we started working with various partners like robotic guys who are producing robots, who are installing robots, and then automation guys in the factory floor. A lot of automation guys are there who are doing that. So we partnered with them, and they used to give us leads, and that's how we started growing.
The second part of that question was relating to the capital investment that you would need to build this product, right? So, I mean, or I guess it's a service since it's software, right? I would think that takes many, many hours to build it, and many, many labor and costs. So how did you do that? Because what if you build a product and then you only have one customer? It's not really feasible. It's only feasible when you have multiple customers.
Yeah, sure. So initially we sacrificed as founders. So we didn't take any pay for almost 6 months. Nothing absolutely, and then we were only building the product. So it was only between me and my co-founder we started that, and we actually started getting some traction built with that. So after 6 months, we started doing some revenue, and we hired few people, and then we were paying the guys from those money that we raised from our customers. So we told these guys that we cannot pay you like an industry standard. We gave them some equity to be part of our team and grow with us. And once we have the traction built, then we went to some of the early stage investors and also accelerators who could understand our market, and they liked our product, and they put in $250K for us.
You mentioned a co-founder, and we haven't used his name, so could you introduce it to the co-founder?
Her name is Ritika. She actually is my co-founder.
And what's his last name?
Ritika Nigam.
Can you?
And how long have you known her, Rajesh? Did you guys work together before, or did you just come together for this project?
No, fortunately we worked before with a couple of other use cases. So this is my fourth venture. I have done 3 uses before this. So in one of my companies, she came in as a consultant for us. She helped us to put together a few things, and she was technically very sound. And she helped us to build a product, and that's when we met. And before that, actually, we were looking for some consultant to help us out on a technical work. So we sent out to friends, and we sent it in some of the entrepreneurial groups that we are looking for somebody to help us on the consulting group. So she found us and she came to our office and we met and we told the problem statement and she said she can get going. And that's how we met and that's how we got together.
What was the time frame from the time you guys met and decided to do something like this before you actually had a product that you were able to sell?
So the first product took us about 12 months to build the product. And after that, another 12 months for a stable platform to be ready. But initial 12 months, we didn't make much of a revenue because we were building the product. And after that, we started making revenue. So once we released our first product, we started making revenue. And then we started working on making the product better, and we launched our platform last year.
Are you actually optimizing the product on site? So if you have a customer or doing it remotely, if you have a customer and they say to you, okay, I've got this product, running, but I'm not sure I'm getting the results I want. Do you optimize it or just go, well, just let it learn and it'll do it on its own? How do you guys handle that?
Yeah, sure. So we actually, once we deploy initially, we give a one week of staging. We do that typically. In that staging, we identify how effective the model is. So whatever we have to know, if the product is, product is working fine or not, we will know in that 1 week's time. So that's our learnings in the past couple of years that we have been deploying. So within that 1 week period, we will catch those irregularities or false calls, basically. False calls is the biggest concern there. So that's what we look for in this 1 week of staging. And once we figure that, what it is, and once we fix it, and after that, there is no looking back. So as I said, AI actually has its own intelligence, and that's, as the day progresses, it keeps getting better. So it's never going to, go bad, basically.
Is there a platform that you guys use for your AI, or is this a self-built one? Like are you using like Watson or something, or you do have your own platform that you base it off of?
So in terms of product, it's our own. We filed 2 patents so far. It's our own complete product that we have built, and it's a native coding that we have done. And in terms of deployment, yes, we can deploy it on any platform. Like we have containerized our product, so it can be deployed on a Linux or a Windows machine, or if it's a cloud, we have actually tested with AWS, Azure, and the Kubernetes and Google Cloud.
What about Linux or other languages?
Yeah, so Linux also we have tested, it works. Linux or Windows, it works. Yeah.
Because that's open source, right? So we're coming to the end of the show. If people want to get more information from you, they go to what's your Lincode.ai?
.ai. Yeah.
Okay.
Lincode.ai.
L-I-N.
L-I-N.
Lin. Yeah.
C-O-D.
C-O-D.
Okay. Thank you very much. You're listening to the Ask Brien Radio Show, KHTS 1220, 98.1 FM. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.